Hi, welcome once again to M5's English language learning program, Let's Speak English. I'm Gav Duncan and I'm here on your TV to help you learn English. Now, are you sitting comfortably? Yes? Good. And are you ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Okay, well let's learn English together. Good afternoon, everyone. Come in, come in. We've been waiting for your arrival. How are you all today? Does everyone feel good? Yes? Well, that's fantastic. Great news. On this, a great Wednesday. And it's the 16th today, isn't it? Yes. And here's today's tidbit of historical information. Apparently, on this day in 1570, Szólalj János Zsigmond signed a secret agreement with Maximilian II. Great! Well, now that we know that, our day should be a lot more exciting, shouldn't it? Yes. So, okay, tidbit of information for the day dealt with, and now it's time to tell the animals to behave. 15 minutes of no dancing for Gusti, 15 minutes of not blocking the TV screen for Margot, and 15 minutes of silence or quiet from Nigel. Good old Nigel, the sound pollution source. Okay? Nigel, stop the squeaking, snorting and grunting, please. It's only for 15 minutes and then you can make as much noise as you want. Okay then, are we all ready for today's lesson? Yes? Good. Then let's make a start. All right then. What were we doing yesterday? Who remembers? Who can remember? I know you all remember, don't you? Yes, of course you do. Okay. Yesterday, we were looking at making short sentences which agree with what people said, using so. We practiced some sentences where you had to change the sentence depending on the tense and the subject. We learned that when the original sentence uses the present simple of the verb to be, then the short agreeing answer using so uses the present simple form of the verb to be. We use am for the first person singular form, I. We use are for the second person singular form, you, and all of the plural forms, we, you, and they. And we use is for the third person singular form, he, she, and it. He's an idiot. So am I. So is she. So are you. If the sentence uses the present simple form of another verb, not the verb to be, then when we make the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject agreement form, we use the verb to do. The same verb we use when we're asking questions and making negatives in the present simple. We use do for the first person singular form, I, the second person singular form, you, and all the plural forms, we, you, and they. And what about the third person singular form? Yes, that's right. For the third person singular form, he, she, and it, we use does. He dances like a mad chicken. So do you. So does she. So do we. Now, yesterday, we also learned that when we use the present continuous, then the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject short agreement form uses the parts of the verb to be that we use to make the present continuous, am, is, and are. This means that if someone makes a sentence using the present continuous and we want to show agreement, then we use the correct form of the verb to be, am, is, or are, when we make the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject form. I'm driving to Mogadishu next Thursday. So am I. So are they. So is he. Great. Now, we also learned that when the original sentence uses the past simple, then the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject form uses did. It uses the same form that we use to make questions and negatives in the past simple. If the original form uses the past simple form of the verb to be, then the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject form uses the past simple form of the verb to be. They went to Pyongyang. So did I. So did we. So did she. They were at home. So was I. So were you. So was he. All right. Now, let's think about something else, shall we? What if we're making a short agreeing sentence using so, and the verb in the original sentence is will? Well, what do you think happens? Yes, that's right. If the original sentence uses will to talk about the future, then we also use will in the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject form when we want to show agreement. Here, try this one on for size. Expand the responses to the statement. My daughter will go to university next September. So my son, so my cousins, so I. Okay, so how did you get on? Well, that was easy, wasn't it? What did you get for the first one? Well, we're using the same form and will, so that means that the first one is so will my son. My daughter will go to university next September, so will my son. Okay, that was simple enough. But what about the next one? Well, the next one's using a plural subject, isn't it? My cousins, the children of my aunt or uncle. Okay, but what's the problem with the plural subject? There isn't a problem with the plural subject, is there? No. Why not? Yes, good, you all remembered. With will, there's only one form. So, it's not important which subject we're talking about. Will stays the same for all subjects. I will, you will, he will, she will, it will, we will, you will, they will. Easy. So, what's the answer? My daughter will go to university next September. So will my cousins. Great, well done. Okay, one left. What's the answer? It's an easy one, isn't it? Yes, this one's a piece of easy peasy. My daughter will go to university next September. So will I. Good, sorted, and on we go. To think about another combination. This time, let's consider what we have to do if the original sentence features a possessive, have or have got, for example. And seeing as we're here, let's talk about have and have got for a moment. These two mean the same thing, but have got, the form I normally use, isn't as formal. Have got is the form that people usually use when they're talking. If people are talking about possession when they write, they're more likely to use have, not have got. But the two forms mean exactly the same thing. Anyway, where were we? Oh yes, we're talking about what happens when we use have or have got in the original sentence. Then, what do we do when we make a short agreeing statement with so? Well, what do you think? Well, logically, you'd expect that we use have or have got in the agreeing answer too. But we use have or the auxiliary verb we use to make negatives and ask questions in the present simple, the verb to do, in the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject answer. Simple. See if you can complete these answers. He's got a brand new scooter. So I, so my brother, so Loretta. So have I, so do I. So has my brother, so does my brother. So has Loretta, so does Loretta. Okay, now what did we do differently there? Yes, that's right. When we made the original sentence, we used the double form. We used have and got together. But now, when we used the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject to agree with a statement, we didn't use the same form, did we? No. We can use either have or have got to talk about possession. Have is slightly more formal and have got is less formal. We don't normally write have got. When we want to make a negative or a question connected to possession, we have a choice. We can either use the double form have got, or we can use the auxiliary verb to do to make the question a negative. Does your sister have a skateboard? My sister hasn't, has not got a skateboard? Has your sister got a skateboard? My sister does not have a skateboard. Do your next door neighbours have a dog? My next door neighbours have not got a dog. Have your next door neighbours got a dog? My next door neighbours do not have a dog. Okay, so we can use two forms when we make questions and negatives. We have a choice. We can use the auxiliary verb do with the verb have, or we can conjugate the verb to have, follow it with the subject and then got. It's our choice. In the examples, you probably noticed that it doesn't really matter which way you ask the question. We don't have to follow suit. It's perfectly okay to ask a question using the auxiliary verb to do and have the answer as a form of have got. If you ask someone, do you have? And they reply, yes, I've got, it's not a problem. But when we want to make the short agreeing sentence using so plus auxiliary verb plus subject, then we can't use the have got form. When we want to use the so form to agree with someone about have or have got, what we do is to use the auxiliary verb have or the auxiliary verb do. I've got a lovely bunch of coconuts. So I, so we, so they. So do I, so do we, so do they. So have I, so have we, so have they. So remember that we can use two forms to speak about possession. We can use have to show possession, or we can use have got, which also shows possession. I've got toothache, she has toothache. Now, we can't abbreviate the verb when we use have. It would be too confusing. She's means she is. So if we try to abbreviate a sentence using have for possession, then people will get confused, won't they? All right, now the other thing we need to remember is that we ask questions about possession using both forms. We can make a question using do as the auxiliary verb, or we can conjugate have, add the subject, and then follow with got. Do you have Come to My Party, the new LP by Mrs. Mills? Sorry, no, I haven't got that anymore. I sold the last copy of that LP this morning. What about this one? It's called Hogarth's World. No thanks, that looks awful. Well, have you got Gospel Gold by the Oak Ridge Boys? Yes, of course I have it. Here it is. Thanks. And as we saw in that example, we can ask a question with one form of have or have got and receive an answer in the other form. It's perfectly acceptable. But when we want to use the so plus auxiliary verb plus subject form to show agreement, then we have to remember to only use have or the auxiliary verb do. Do you have any LPs by Little David Wilkins? Well, I've got this one. It's called King of All the Taverns. Oh, so do I. Oh, well, I have all of Little David's LPs too. Do you? So does my mum. Great. And on that, well, slightly strange note, I think it's time we left. Yes, our time for the day is up. So I think we'll leave Dave and Edwin discussing LPs together. Do you all know what LP stands for? LP means long playing, and when we say LP, we're talking about a record, a vinyl disc that you can play on a record player. Like an MP3 player, but an analog version, a long playing record. Ask your grandparents. Anyway, this is the first LP I ever got. I got this for my birthday in 1977, I think. I can't remember, it was a long time ago. Okay people, our 15 minutes are up. So, well, I'll see you all tomorrow. Have fun, relax, get a cool drink and sit back in your armchair listening to an LP or two. Or, alternatively, you could just play something on your iPod, I suppose. Right, we're off, but we'll see you all tomorrow. Okay? Ole! And remember, If you need more English, when you're taking a break from listening to music, you know where to go to, don't you? That's right, www.m5tv.hu. You all know the address, don't you? Okay, have fun, listen to some records, and I'll see you all later. Bye!